Holy hell, guys, it is official. Iran's supreme leader has just been confirmed to have been killed. He is dead. Donald Trump has just confirmed this in a full, long statement and called him one of the most evil people in history. Now, Khamenei's body was reportedly recovered from the rubble at his compound this morning from the strikes and apparently riddled with shrapnel wounds. That means in the first 2 months of 2026, first Maduro, then El Mucho from Mexico, the cartel leader, and now Khamenei. Holy.
Shalom. Shalom. Give me a moment. So, okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and salutations to the elect out there pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth, waking up the rest of the elect, all right, and warning the rest of the, just warning the whole world, man, of the return of Yahweh Shai, okay? So the rest of the elect could be sealed and wake up so Yahweh Shai could return speedily, and us measuring the times diligently, seeing the things that are going on currently, man. It seems like, hey, the Lord's returning soon, man, okay? The elect got to be sealed, okay? The Lord is returning, all right? The end is nigh, all right? We got a few more prophecies left, okay? But the topic of this lesson is, hey, man, this happened, I think, yesterday or the day before. The United States, Donald Trump, unalived, all right? The supreme leader of Iran, okay? This man, all right? All right? This was basically their president. This is Iranian state media confirms supreme leader Khamenei, all right, is dead, all right? He's unalived, all right? Basically, their president, okay, their leader, all right, who has been leading them, it says, since 1989, all right? Okay, he has been unalived by the United States, by the West, okay? So imagine another country, imagine the Muslims, so-called quotation marks on both sides, assassinate or unalive the president of the United States. Imagine that. How do you think the United States would react to that happening? I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm not promoting violence, or nothing, okay? But imagine that happening. What do you think the United States, how they would react? All right, so don't be fucking surprised, United States, all right? Donald Trump, United States, West, all right? Don't be surprised, all right? The way, for the way these Iranians, the Carmenians, aka the modern day Persians, all right? The dragons of Arabia, all right? Aka, what they say in the, what the Bible says about them, don't be surprised on the way that they're acting towards the West and shooting and striking down, shooting at Tel Aviv and striking down and destroying U.S. military bases, in the Middle East, okay? Shooting Dubai, shooting up Tel Aviv, all right, Israel, okay? And shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, all right? All this has just happened and is still happening, all right? And the Strait of Hormuz, hey, we told you the Strait of Hormuz was going to close down. And bang, it has happened. Let's show you. Where is it at?
Breaking news, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed and gas and oil prices are set to skyrocket.
Yep. I just got off work and bang, gas prices are at $3, $2.99, all right? I'm like, yep. And they had a news reporter right there at the same gas station by my workplace, by my plantation, man, all right? And it's going to only get higher and higher, and not just gas prices, the cost of everything, man. Because, hey, the United States relies on trucks, the trucking industry, and they rely on gas, all right? And if the gas prices go up, then the cost of goods are going to go up around the whole world, because the United States isn't a small country. It's a huge-ass country, and they need trucks, all right? Fuel, all right, to spread out the goods around the United States, and that's going to cost even more money because 20% of all the fuel, the oil, all right, fossil fuels in the whole world go through come from and through the Strait of Hormuz, and that is now closed because the United States pissed off Iran. All right, literally unalived their leader, or their supreme leader. All right, and Iran is done. They're done effing around. They're done getting poked. All right, poked around and punked by the West, and they're shooting missiles. All right, and they're not caring, where they hit. All right, if they land or not, they're just gonna continue on shooting missiles. All right, if Russia, China wants to step in and help them out, go ahead. If not, Iran don't give a damn. That's the mindset that Iran is in right now, man. The dragons of Arabia, pissed off, man. Okay, and they have the upper hand, like the scriptures say. All right, they got the upper hand right now. Okay, let's get this TikTok. All right, because I've been liking TikToks. My whole news feed is World War III. All right.
Iran is so far winning the war against the United States and Israel, and we could be set for the greatest military upset in history. As in their immediate retaliation, the Iranians surprised the US military with their fury and became the first country ever to hit US bases across 6 countries in a single day, making it the largest counterattack against the United States since World War II. And Israel is also getting pummeled by Iranian missiles, with explosions reported in Tel Aviv and a huge explosion reported in Haifa as well. And as always, there is an information blackout in Israel, so mainstream media will not be reporting on all of the targets getting hit inside of Israel. But Israeli citizens, even though they're told not to by their government, are still taking pictures of the explosions and the damage and posting them to social media. And so far, it seems like Iran is the one that's acting like the military superpower, targeting multiple countries, hitting US and Israel all at the same time, while the Americans and the Israelis seem to be confused and kind of all over the place. Iran is so far...
All right. So yeah, man, they got the upper hand. Let's get this. Is it this one? No, it's Second Ezra's. It's in Second Ezra's. Second Ezra's 15 and 20. Okay. In 31, I'm going to start at 28. It says, "Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east." All right. Now, all that's happening in the Middle East, all right, the east side of the whole of the world. Okay. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, okay, the Arabians, okay, shall come out with many chariots. All right. War vehicles and machinery. Okay. And the multitude of them, all right, their army shall be carried as the wind upon the earth. All right, they're going to continue on attacking the West, all right, and the allies of America. And America, if they could get their hands on America, all right, they're going to continue on, all right, attacking the West, all right, their enemies, all right. They're done playing around, all right. And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. All right, America is fearing and trembling. Okay, Israel is fearing and trembling. The EU is fearing and trembling, man. All right, from the top to bottom, the elites, those that are in high seats, all the way to the regular everyday people, man. They're fearing and trembling. Their armies, all right, the people in the military, they're shitting their pants because they're being shipped off to the Middle East. All right, everybody. If it be America, if it be Israel, if it be the EU nations, all right, everybody's shitting their pants. All right. They're in fear and trembling, man. Verse 30, also the Carmanians, all right, this is the Iranians, all right, the modern day Persians, all right, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, all right, they're in that spirit, all right, pissed off. We all know how a wild boar is, all right, crazy, all right, will eat and destroy anything, okay? You don't want to run into a wild boar, all right, in the wild, all right. Okay, it says, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, all right. And the modern day Assyrians are who? All right, This is spiritually talking about the Americans, all right, the West nations, Israel and America, specifically America, all right. This isn't talking about the modern day Syrians, the people in Syria right now, all right. This is spiritually talking about America, okay. It says, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. So they're going to start attacking the West and eventually start attacking America, man. All right. Donald Trump said, let me see. That America is going to start getting hit. All right.
Breaking news update, March 2nd, 2026. Iran says they will not negotiate with the United States, and this is what's been going on the last 48 to 72 hours. Warning that no ship was allowed to pass oil supply to serve the American oil. Mentioned it in my free tele.
Slocky, give me a moment. Donald Trump said that for the Americans to prepare because, the United States might get attacked. All right. I'm trying to find the TikTok.
America's top general has come out and said,
Donald Trump is scared and is begging for a ceasefire. This is according to Israeli news outlet Ynet that say that Donald Trump last night reached out to the Iranians via a Italian mediator asking for a ceasefire and a deal, and the Iranians told them to go F off. The Iranian calculation is that they will not agree to any sort of a ceasefire until they are confident that they have inflicted enough pain on the Americans, as the Iranians feel that agreeing to a ceasefire right now will only embolden the Americans and the Israelis, and they'll just regroup and come back in a few months and hit Iran again. And the Americans are taking tremendous damage. There are unconfirmed reports circulating all over the Middle East that 6 senior CIA officers were reportedly unalived in the UAE due to a precision strike hitting a residence used by the agency personnel in Dubai. And if I had to guess, the Chinese are probably giving the CIA locations to the Iranians. And the Americans will, of course, not confirm the deaths of their covert officers. But one thing is for sure, with the amount of damage the American military...
But yeah, Trump... Sure, let me Google it. All right. I forgot. Not I forgot. I just can't find it. But yeah, let's finish because I want to get to the next precept. This is also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. Okay, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand. All right, I just showed you that TikTok of it looking like the Iranians got the upper hand. Right, they're looks like they might pull off one of the greatest military upsets, ever, But we know this is going to drag out and get worse and worse and worse. It's not going to end soon, okay? All right, because the mark of the beast has to be made mandatory around the whole world first before the World War III goes full nuclear, okay? And it says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves conspiring together in great power to persecute them, okay? You know, they're remembering their nature, man. You seen that TikTok I showed you, all right? Iran said, "F off, Trump." All right, we don't want no ceasefire because we know how the devil operates, man. All right, they come with peaceable words. They come down crouching, like the scriptures say. All right. Second Corinthians 11:14. It says, "And no marvel, for Satan himself is," no, man, Slakia. What the hell? Yeah, Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 12:11, it says, "Though he humble himself and go crouching," okay, "I come with you with peaceable words. Let's have a ceasefire. Let's stop the war, this and that." All right, it says, "Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away." Okay, so this is what's going to happen if you agree to a ceasefire with the West, with the so-called white man, all right, with the spiritual, biblical Assyrians, okay? Okay, Donald Trump, the white man, okay? They said, all right, that, you know, they told Donald Trump to F off because we know that if we agree with the ceasefire, you know, the West, all right, Israel and America and possibly the EU, you know, will gather themselves and strike Iran even worse again, you know, and try to take them out. So Iran, they're holding nothing back. They're remembering their nature. All right, they're in that wild boar spirit. They're in that dragons of Arabia spirit. They're not messing around no more. All right, they're done. They're shooting. They're giving them. All right, they're starting war. All right. Okay. They're gonna continue on messing. You know, attacking America in the West. All right. Okay, and if it gets worse and worse, all right, Russia and China and these other countries that are backing Iran, will hop into this war, and the EU nations as well, all right? And the scriptures say the EU nations, all right, the 10 horns, will hate the whore. So Israel and America, they're going to piss off the European nations so much that they're going to turn their backs on America and Israel and side with the Iranians, the Russians, and the Chinese, okay, and the Indians, all right, and North Korea, okay. That's what the scriptures say, man, okay. So, hey, man, we're in beautiful, beautiful times, man. Salakia.
In a jarring turn of events.
So, let me see if there was one more.
Israel has just launched a massive wave of airstrikes on Lebanon as Hezbollah joins the fight to avenge the death of Iran's supreme leader. Following the devastating joint U.S.-Israeli strikes that killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Hezbollah has shattered the silence, launching a barrage of precision missiles and swarms of drones targeting an Israeli missile defense site south of Haifa. The response was immediate and brutal. Israeli jets began pounding the Dahieh district in Beirut, leaving at least 31 dead and nearly 150 wounded, as the IDF has issued urgent evacuation orders for over 50 villages across southern Lebanon and the Bekaa Valley, a clear warning of a large-scale ground invasion to come. But the escalation isn't limited to Lebanon. Iran's Revolutionary Guard is striking back across the Gulf, with explosions reported in Riyadh and Kuwait, and drone debris falling near Dubai's iconic Burj Al Arab. The cost of this war is now hitting home for Washington. The Pentagon has finally confirmed that 3 American soldiers have been killed in Iranian retaliatory strikes, the first major U.S. casualties in this spiraling conflict. Israel has just
that has resulted in the Strait of Hormuz being shut down, right? And Iran is attacking all types of military bases in that region. And Lebanon, which is basically Iran, okay, they're sided with Iran they're shooting at Israel, man. All right, and these Israelis, all right, these Jews, all right, they're going into hiding and they're having trouble finding places to hide. All right, all the bunkers are are being filled up, and they're trying to evacuate the people in that country. Okay, so yeah, man. All right, we're in beautiful times. Okay. Let me see. Joel 3:2. It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So this is what's going on, man. All right. This is going to lead to all the nations, all right, gathering themselves in that Middle East, okay, and going to World War III with each other. And the Lord's going to return in the midst of all that, all right, and they're going to all turn and attack the Lord, and the Lord's going to destroy all those militaries and then save his men, his elect, all right, out of America and throughout the whole world, all right, but mainly America. And then these countries are going to shoot all the missiles and nuclear missiles at America, and and America's going to be turned into a lake of fire, all right, and the elect that are saved, which will become immortal when the Lord returns, they're going to be watching, right, the destruction of America with Yahushua in the chariots, the so-called UFOs. Watch my last lesson, okay? And that's all scriptural. I don't, there's many precepts proving that, man. All right, well, what exactly what I just said, because that's a topic for another lesson. And us men, me and other men in this truth, all right, have done many lessons, okay, about that topic, all right? Now, it's time for you to do your work, to do your research. Go back, look at, just find any GMS, channel, okay? And go back, type in on the search bar and find those videos about the salvation of the elect, the Lord's chariots, the lake of fire, the Lord returning, redeeming his elect, okay? Making us immortal, all right? The sea of glass, okay? Them being burnt up in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb, okay, etc., okay? Do your research, man, okay? Yeah, we're supposed to prove all things, but hey, if we prove every single, sometimes, we got to roughly paraphrase, all right, half the time, all right, because every lesson would be 3, 4, 5 hours long, man, This is Joel 3:9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, and Iran, is a fairly weak nation compared to America. America's, one of the top military nations of all time, Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, all right, the Middle East, all right. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right, because eventually all these nations are going to gather themselves in the Middle East, okay? Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision, all right? And that's what this is leading to, man. All-out war in World War III, in the Middle East, okay? So, yeah, I hope this was edifying to the elect. I'm going to end it right there.